Welcome to the channel. I just wanted to show you today what difference it makes when you decide what you're going to paint and what paper you're going to use to achieve what you want. We got a late evening kind of sunset sky here. I went for a drive up the hills. This was a few years ago and took this photo here. I pre-wet the sky. So this is rough textured Baohong 140-pound paper. I mixed cobalt blue with some cobalt teal blue, and just watch what this sky does. We're just going to go ahead and paint this with no drawing, and let's go. We just drop our colors in and let them come down the page just like that, and watch this start to granulate. It starts to get into the little parts of this paper here right away into there like that. And then I'm going to go a little bit cobalt teal blue. Look at what it's doing already here. Amazing color, an amazing paper. I'm achieving great granulation here. I want to get a little bit more warm colors as we get down to the bottom here. Get our sunset colors. Diffuse that a little bit into here. I'm going to paint these trees into here and get into this color here. I'm just going to mix some burgundy yellow ochre with some white to see if I can achieve that color into here. I can blend on the paper, but I wanted to mix up this color first here and just see what I achieve doing that in the palette, just because I want that color to be quite similar to what's there. And I'm going to paint, everything is darker, so you don't really have to worry too much about painting this in and getting over some of these edges here. So I'm going to do that there just like that. That'll be our light color. Even though it's going to dry lighter, I'm just going to get some titanium white. I'm going to brighten this up even more. A little more titanium white. I'm going to go over it again until I achieve the color that I want. That's pretty close there. So I'm just going to let that's going to dry a lot lighter. Look at the sky. Look at the granulation of the sky. That's what I wanted to show you anyway about this painting here. That choosing the right paper, the right textured paper and good quality paper before you even start your painting is critical to completing a painting that's going to look the way you want it to look. I'm going to go quite dark in this shadow area into here. I got a lot of pigment on this brush. Look at the size of the brush I'm using here. It's a number 18 Escoda Aquario. And I'm going to go here and blend that in here. I'm going to go even darker. Just going to go right in with some neutral gray, and then I can warm that up afterwards. And there's still enough residual pigment on the brush. I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to paint all that in here. I don't want that lighter kind of highlight in that corner there, so I'm going to go ahead and paint all that in here. This nice shadow, dark neutral gray, and just like that there. You can even squeeze pigment right out of the brush and get it on here nice and thick, just like that, and just let it flow. And this line over here, so as this is drying, it is very wet and this brush is soft. It can pick up a lot of pigment. So I'm going to get this brush working here for me and picking up that pigment just there. Do you see how much lighter that's become there now? I don't really want any hard lines, so I'm just going to take care of these right now. It's all going to be covered by trees there anyway. So there we go. And then now this is going to get some gray tones. Yeah, but it's a little bit warmer. I'm just going to get some Quinacridone Gold mixed in here. Still the big brush in here, and just go in here in different little spots. Not everywhere. Just throw in some color here, and just some subtle colors. Just like that there. And I've got some Quinacridone burnt orange. I could splatter this on, but I'm just going to lay some colors down just like that there for interest. And switching to a smaller brush, smaller soft brush. I got this neat purple color. I think a Quinacridone purple or something. It's a Daniel Smith color. I'm going to put that in there. I really want to splatter this, but I'm going to be really careful I don't get it into the sky above here. And I can't lay a paper towel down on there because it's so wet. So I'm going to let that do what it's going to do here. And you know this burgundy yellow ochre color I was talking about in the last video, it likes to separate color, so it's going to give us some really neat texture here as we splatter that in super carefully. Soft brush, a lot easier to splatter colors in with. So there we go, that's that there. So the sky is still wet. Look at the granulation, it's amazing what it's doing in here. And it's even giving us that glow that the sky's moving down. My table's only about a 10-degree angle there, but it makes a nice flow, a controllable flow. If you get too much of an angle on their table for a paint, you know, it also depends on the painting that you're going to want to do, but if you get too much angle, you're not going to have a lot of time to work with the pigment, and sometimes it flows down the page too fast if you're very wet. So you don't want that either. You want to give it time to kind of work, for different paintings anyway. Sometimes you want a real steep angle on your board. But that's looking good there. So I'm going to kind of leave that for a second. It needs to dry. If I go in here and paint these trees right away, it's really going to diffuse. So I want that to happen a little bit, but when I paint in the trunks, I don't want all these blurred trunks in there either. And then down here, this is granulating again really nicely in this paper. And I'm going to get ready to to toss some water into here to give an even more detail. And so I'm going to wait for this to dry, and then we're going to continue on this one. Okay, so I've let this dry a little bit. It's still too wet to splatter my water in here. I'm looking at it on the side, and you can see I'm going to show you what it does if you splatter water in here a little bit early. It just doesn't have, it just kind of blends in too much. See, it's just diffusing too much. So I'm going to put a couple of drops in there. That's fine. I'll wait for that to dry, and I'm going to start working on these trees here right away. So the trees, I'm going to want a different brush. So let me use one of these angled brushes here, a dagger brush. And I haven't mixed any colors here yet for this tree, but let's see what we're going to want here. Let's start with Undersea green because we want a good contrast here. No, I'm seeing some different colors here. I'm going to go, oh, I got a good idea here. Quinacridone burnt orange, which is going to look really bold and quite wet in here. So this brush separates well. It's great for doing trees. I'm not going to worry about the trunks quite yet, but I'm going to take these right off the page into here, just like that. And load up my, not dipped in the wrong color. Not bright red. There we go. Just like that. And you'll see with the rough paper what this is doing as well. So I'm just going to put some of these branches in here. These pines kind of go everywhere. This is just kind of our first little wash on these trees, but you're going to want, you know, some detail here too. If you got some good detail somewhere in your painting, it's going to read right where your subject matter is. And as we go down here, there's a bit of I want a little light color here. You see those trees that are in the distance? I'm going to put a little bit of Quinacridone gold in there just so I don't forget about these trees down here. Like that. And it's kind of framing into this area here. There's a little something in there like that into this field. But that, I'm going to get in there. I'm going to do two things at once here. I want to diffuse that into here like that, into that field area. This paper is wet and it's buckling, so it's a little bit more difficult to do that, but just like that there. You're just going to make sure that you blend it in nicely so you don't have too many hard edges in your distance there. And go in here like that. Leave some blue. Very important you leave some blue spots in there. And then I'm going to change to my Undersea green and just drop it in here right over top of this Quinacridone burnt orange. And wet. Don't go over your painting here, over your sky, because it's a disaster kind of waiting to happen. Especially with a brush that's this wet here, you got to be careful. And coming down in here, and I'm gonna kind of frame this one here a little bit, just like into there with this tree, with what it's doing here. You don't have to dip your paintbrush in the water every time that you go down here. And we're gonna go really dark into this area here. And it comes way down to about here. Have a look at that. And we can just work on some tree trunks after. Leave that blue into there, just like that. So we got that glow happening there. We got some darker business here. So I'm just working on changing the colors here a little bit, but I'm preserving this background color that's in here too. I'm working on the shadows down into here. So normally I'd work the background here first and then this part, but since this tree is so prominent in here, I just wanted to see what we can do with it first. And then we'll work on the rest of our painting afterwards. This brush is great. It's got a very fine tip. It holds a fair amount of pigment. Not a whole lot, but just the way that you can change how thick a paint or how thick a brush mark you put down to a fine little, working on the fine little tip there. My Quinacridone burnt orange and neutral gray work really well together too. So I'm going to drop some neutral gray to get my darks really dark into here. Yeah, don't go over your painting because you might drop some pigment in there. And it's really dark right in the horizon here. And these trunks look really dark too, so I'm just going to get some sepia. And this is dry enough here now. I almost forgot about my water splatter. Nope, don't do that with two brushes in your hand. Splatter a little water, a little bit too dry there for it. I think it's about right there. A little bit more there, a little bit here, and there. Done. That's about all you want to do. Okay, back to the trees here now. So now you got to be careful. I might leave these trunks till last, but I'm gonna paint them in now because I'm just gonna paint a line where they're gonna be. So there's one there, and then I'm gonna see how that pigment behaves. I'll leave that little highlight in there like that, and just a hint of the, it's pretty dry up here so I can get away with this, into here, just blend it in like that there. It's kind of showing up in here a little bit too. You can paint it in there, put one over there too, and the thicker kind of one over there. And if you put these little branches right through your sky, brighter blue areas, that's why it's so important to preserve your sky area. Then they look like branches, they read really well. So the reason that I didn't go very wide here to begin with is because of what's happening down here where I sprayed the water. If you go and you make a little line and it disperses not the way you want, you can fix it. See, and that's coming in there. It's actually doing a nice effect, just the way. I'm going to leave a little highlight there, like that there. Good, it's making the little branches and things all on its own. So this one here, this looks like it's getting a little drier. Put another one in here. And you can see how much of it crawls, right? And then you've still got, sorry about the camera there, just got to check it again. No, it's good. Yeah, you can see how much it crawls, and you're going to be bigger here than what you're painted here. Anyway, it's not going to crawl that much, and you can also clean it up, right? So, and the thicker pigment that you use, again, the less it's going to move. Also, you see, I'm going to go really thick on this edge here, and it's crawling, but not quite as much as it did over there. I kind of like how that's blending in there, and then I can go up here. Don't rest your hand on the painting like I was about to do. Come in like that. Again, with this rough textured paper, it's giving me a tree trunk texture. And I'll go up into here. And I don't want that everywhere. I was going to do that with my finger. But I'm just going to pick that up. You can pick up little highlights while you're doing this here and there too. Just to brighten up those trees a little bit and those spots there. Okay, so now if you've just got some of the sepia and you just drop it in different little spots into here, you can pull some branches out of the out of that color just using a palette knife, and just some little twigs kind of going out. And all you're doing is you're pulling the color that's already still wet on the paper there, and then again through your highlights it'll read like branches in there. Alright, so we'll continue pulling a few of these little branches through here, through our highlighted areas, and you got to make sure that you don't close in your highlighted areas totally, like that there. And then there's maybe some, you know, little branches here and here, like that. Don't overdo it, it just needs a few little detail things in there. And then now we've got a bunch of fence posts in here. I don't know if it's going to let us do it. It's just going to close in on us, so it's a little bit early. So I might put the fence posts in, maybe not. Just hints of them. Okay, now we're going to work on the background area. We've got some distant hills in there. I'm just going to put in a distant, this one over here, with a little blue. It's very blue. Just like that. I'm going to maybe darken it just a hair. Like that there. And I'm using that brush just because it was in my hand. We got some color mixed in here from the last painting that's actually going to work really well, I think, here. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in right up here, just like that there. And I'm going to leave that as is for now, and what I'm going to do is work on this tree line in here, which is kind of a almost the same color as that, but it's going to go a little bit darker. A little undersea green, neutral gray. And we should come out with a color that we want here. I'm gonna go bottom up on this one here. Just gonna leave that light in there. See where we end up down into here for our horizon. Oh, that's pretty close there. So get right into the undersea green here. Let's see how crooked I am here. And go right across. And into the there's trees in front of that area down there. It doesn't have to be straight across, you know, the fields go in and out and whatnot. And I've got a bit of a, you know, angle going on here, which is just fine. And I do want to darken some areas there, and I want to blend this top area a little bit here too. And even here with our rough textured paper, well, a little higher with this hill here. Rough textured paper, it's given us some nice textured effect for the distant hills there, and helps with the realism. And there's a little, I don't know what that is in the picture there, but I'm not going to do it. It's a trap, I think. That's what it is. Okay, I got some Quinacridone burnt orange here, and we'll see if we can make some of these trees into here while this is still wet. Again, go small, see how much it bleeds into the next area there. And you can carefully drop them in, and you change the tone of them also afterwards. I'm going to go to a Quinacridone Gold and go over that like that. Achieve a color that I like a little better in there, and just work on, there's a few of them here, just these lighter kind of colored trees, so you can just work on those. And kind of another one here. The hints of something up in here like that. There. Good enough there. And then we're going to use some Undersea green. Make sure we got enough pigment on our brush here. And there's a nice tall one over here. Just trying not to get in front of the camera here. I'm leaving some light areas there so it reads like a tree. And in the wet areas it'll paint itself, you know. Just like that there. And I'm going to leave some highlights in between, put some of them in here. This is so wet here still that it's just, they're just going to paint themselves and down into there, this area here like that. Now we're really dark right at the bottom, and I want to go even darker than what I've got right there. And what I'm going to do is just add some neutral gray, just like we did on the last painting in the shore and the island. And I go in there and I'm going to diffuse that as if that's going further away. Yeah, just like that there. Now we've got really dark in here, so I've got to decide if I want to go darker in the foreground to frame that just like that is there. And I may do that, but you run the risk of messing with the foreground that's actually turned out quite nice there. So just going to work on these a little bit here, these tree trunks, add a little bit of Quinacridone burnt orange to the right side of these, just like the sun shining from the right here. I know I said right side and I put some on the left on that one there, but that's okay. That's light bouncing off the other tree, sure. That's good there. Now what I'm going to do, I will add some darker colors down here. Let's see how wet this is. Look at it from the side, and it's not very wet, it's pretty dry down here. So I should be able to get away with this here now, but what I'm going to do is lay down some paper towel across the top part of the, well, I can't really do that because that's still wet. So thinking on my feet here, I'm just going to add maybe a little bit of this purple here, maybe a little bit of sepia in with the purple, tone it down a little bit, and let's get some darks in here. What I'm going to do is diffuse these afterwards. And I'm going to do, yeah, some Quinacridone burnt orange now. It can go down in here. Carefully don't get it everywhere. And I do want a little bit more in that area there. Okay, the reason I wanted more in that area there is I'm going to get my rigger brush. Anyway, so we're going to pull the pigment up here. And we're just going to make some grasses here, given our details. And also what we're doing is we've darkened our foreground. Anyway, so we're getting our grasses, foreground grasses here, and I do have some Burgundy yellow ochre, so I'm going to add to that. It's pretty wet there, see what it does. A little bit more Quinacridone burnt orange. It needs a little bit in there, like that. And I want some dark over here, so I'm just going to go ahead and drop in some. And blend that in a little bit into there. I just saw that I was overworking that a little bit in this area here, so we're going to do that there. And if you frame some lighter areas in here, it really makes them pop. I know the brush is totally too small for doing that, but there, I leave those highlights in there. like that there. And up here, like it's in the field, right? Yeah, I can stick my finger in there now. It's gonna diffuse that a little bit, just like some detail in the field. And I'm gonna go across this way, see where I can pick up some wet pigment. Yeah, and let it do its thing. Fix that a little bit in there, like that there. You can also go in there if you got some titanium white or something, and you can, a white color, and then you can put some little white highlights in different areas. The contrast between the lights and the darks on your painting is what's going to make the light here. And you can also put it in your little tree in different little spots. Careful you don't overdo it though. So again, like I mentioned on the last painting, you can go in there with some different colors, even red, and just put them on the border of this tree here. And you see how bold our colors are already. That this is bright red. And if you drop it in carefully right on the edges there, it just picks up some sunlight, even blues if you've got some. I've got a color called Cobalt, or I don't know, iridescent electric blue, that's what it is. I'll show you what that looks like. I'm just going to pick some of that up here. And as if so, we got the light coming from the low sky there. I've got some on this. I got this other palette here, sitting here, just with some leftover paint. I got the iridescent or electric blues in this bottom corner. See how bright it is? And you can put a little bit on your brush and just see how it looks. You know, some little reflections from this. Just reflections from the low light sky there, just like that. You can even put some in your distance here, but problem with putting it in the distance, you don't want to overwork your background that way, because you want to keep it pushed back just like that. So, or you can put it in the foreground too, just like that. Cool it off a little bit. It's an evening light here, so just like that. There we go. Well, I think I'm going to look at this in the morning and just have a look and see what else it needs. Maybe some fence posts and things in there, but I quite like how it turned out. Thanks to all the new subscribers and existing subscribers. Please share, like, and comment. Yeah, if you've got somebody that would like to learn more about watercolors, please tell them about the channel. That'd be great. We will see you next time. Thanks for watching.